Welcome to our Town Hall series, Housing Stability. When we talk about housing stability, we think of a safe place, a secure place, an upkept place where you can lay your head at night and take pride in it. This place gives us a sense of peace and comfort, which ensures that children can do well in school and that parents can have a consistent commute to work, each of which reduces overall stress and financial stress for the household. Many residents in the Pontiac community has voiced their concerns about the lack of options for quality housing. Quality housing means safe, decent, affordable housing within each in reach of where they work, shop, study, and play. Currently, we have thousands of misplaced residents living in hotels because they can't find quality housing. The purpose of this town hall today is to shed light on the current landscape as it relates to rental options, home buying, and new developments within the Pontiac community. We are here to address the questions and concerns from our viewers and share resources. We want to help families get the resources they need to have adequate living conditions. We want to help households to establish longer residency and improve their quality of life in whatever way we can. We have invited a representative from the Pontiac Housing Commission, Ms. Yvette Transu, representative from Genesis Construction, founder Regina Campbell, representative from Venture Housing, Ms. Autumn Butler, and realtor Norbert Burrows to share with us. So let's get started.
Good evening. I'm Dr. Semino Scott and excited to get started today. So let's dive right in with Yvette Transu and Mary Lou Rosado from the Pontiac Housing Commission. So tell us, what's happening at the Pontiac Housing Commission?
The Pontiac Housing Commission is embarking on some great things. We are in the process of really making a stamp in the city of Pontiac in the area of housing. We are doing everything that we can to make some of the needs and some of the situations that are going on in the city, we're making sure that those things go on. So that's what we're doing.
Okay, so how does the housing voucher process work with Michigan Housing?
Well, first of all, we opened up the waiting list, and this gives people an opportunity to sign up for the voucher. And we, about 6,000 people applied for this voucher. Only a few get selected.
Okay.
Okay, so, and then the process, once they're chosen, the process starts of issuing the vouchers.
And has the pandemic affected this process much?
Honestly, the pandemic affected the process very slightly. But to be very honest with you, our work as a team here at the Pontiac Housing Commission never stopped during the pandemic. We put some things in place to make sure that our workers were safe. We put PPE things in place. We had the, partitions installed. We had disinfectant wipes and masks and different things of that nature. But our workload actually increased during the pandemic. The one thing that did happen to slow down is our face-to-face meetings, and as Ms. Rosado was talking about how people are brought on to the program, we have what's called briefings, and that's where we have meetings with our tenants or our potential tenants to explain the program. Because of the pandemic, we did have to slow down on that. But the thing of it is that housing is such a critical need that we knew we would be one of those professions like police officers or, people at the hospital. We knew that we would be one of those professions that could not stop because the need did not stop. And so it affected us in the fact that we were able to service less people in person, but our workload increased because we had to service that many more people over the phone, through emails, and that thing.
So before we turn to our other panelists, can you talk a little about the process? And, there's a waiting list, or how many people are actually applying for Section 8 vouchers?
Well, as Ms. Rosado had stated, I've been here 18 years, and in that 18 years, we've only had to open our waiting list 3 times. And the reason for that is because each time that we've opened up our waiting list, we've had over 6,000 individuals apply each time. Out of that 6,000, the first year I believe we chose 500 individuals randomly. The second year, I think we chose 500, and this last time that we opened up our waiting list, we chose, was it 750? Yes. We chose 750 individuals to be placed on the waiting list. Now, this isn't just a Michigan issue. This isn't just a Pontiac issue. This is a nationwide issue. Individuals open up their waiting list, and places larger than Pontiac could get up to 14,000, 15,000 people that apply at one time. And we will never be able to fill all of those slots on our waiting list, but because of the fact that sometimes the information gets outdated, because there are sometimes years before we can even start pulling people onto the program, because this is a program that will probably never go away, because the need will never go away.
Absolutely. And in addition to the need for rental options, there's also a need for home ownership options. So let me turn for a moment to Autumn Butler. And so we have 57% of residents who rent in the city of Pontiac, and 43% of those residents own their homes. Can you talk a little about the process that Venture LLC goes through to help prepare residents for home ownership?
Thank you, Samina, and thank you for having me. Venture, we are a community housing development organization, so we're a small nonprofit affordable housing developer. We typically build 1 to 2 houses each year for low to moderate income families. So for an individual who makes about $45,000, they would qualify, $45,000 or less. And for us, we work very closely with OSA, Oakland Livingston Human Service Agency. They're our parent company, and so they do home buyer counseling. They teach people about what it means to be a homeowner. What does it mean to become a home buyer? They work exclusively with people to help them repair their credit and overall financial literacy, because that's one of the issues that some people have. They're not quite ready to become a homeowner because they're not ready to be able to obtain a mortgage. So we put a great emphasis on just personal credit and financial literacy overall. But once they get to that stage, we help prepare people by helping them obtain a mortgage through a reputable financial institution, ensuring that mortgage is sustainable for them. We put a heavy focus on affordability. So we want to make sure that people are not paying any more than 30% of their gross monthly income on their housing, because we want you to have money available for emergencies and other things that are going on in your house. So that's what Venture does. Right now we're working with Oakland schools, and we're doing a collaborative project with the students there. So the students are helping our general contractor build on the campus right there off of Perry. They're building the house, then we move it to the permanent site. So we're working on some streets on Sterling, Kenilworth, and Melrose, and then we finish it with the general contractor. So this is a very unique opportunity where we're working with the students and we're providing housing for low to moderate income individuals. But I will say, Samino, that if we could build more houses, we could definitely have more people in there. The need is really great, and just the supply and production is not there at this time.
So as you meet with Pontiac residents, and you touched on it a little, but I want you to dive in a little more if you can, about some of the impediments to home ownership that you experience with residents.
I would say the number one thing is people not having the proper credit score to be able to obtain a mortgage. And so typically we're looking at least a minimum 640, 650. Oftentimes people have delinquencies on their credit. Like oftentimes when people say they want to become homeowners, they haven't even really looked at their credit. So they don't even know where they fall. I would say one of the huge impediments is just a lack of understanding about finances. In our schools, they teach you about English English and math, but oftentimes they don't teach you life skills like financial literacy. And at homes, a lot of our Pontiac residents are coming from rental homes. You know, their parents were renters, so they really didn't grow up understanding what it means to be a homeowner. And they really, people didn't talk at the family table about your finances, how to properly use credit. So now that they, you know, they have a job for a couple of years, they're sustainable at that, they definitely couldn't afford it because they're definitely paying high rent. So they can afford a mortgage payment. It's just that their credit and the budgeting and the savings is not quite there. But once we get them, people are enthusiastic. They learn and adapt, and many of them are able to get themselves together within a year, 18 months. But I think one of the, I would say, huge obstacles is the fact that people don't have the financial literacy. That's the first one. And then the second one is the supply. I mean, we have people, but we do not have the affordable housing available to them.
And I'm going to turn to you in just a moment, Regina, but I want to follow that up with, are there opportunities for those that actually have homes for support with repairs that are needed to maintain those homes?
Yes, and Regina will probably be able to tell you even more, but Oakland County has a program for homeowners that are below a certain income level. Venture also does home repairs. Now, we are focused in a specific neighborhood, in the GM Modern Housing neighborhood right now, but we're able to assist homeowners who make below like 120% of the area median income. So for like an individual, that'd be more like 56,000 or less.
Okay.
And we're able to help them with some of the emergency, like your major systems, HVAC, plumbing, electrical, and then also our goal is like a twofold. So we not only want to help the homeowner, but we're also trying to beautify the neighborhood. So we also do exterior repairs that are gonna, you know, of course, be important for you, like your foundation, gutters. That's structurally, you know, you want your house to be structurally sound, but also we're trying to improve how the neighborhood is looking too. So there are some programs, but I will say, Samino, that it definitely needs to be a lot more. I get so many calls about people who need homeowners, existing homeowners, especially our elders and those who are on fixed incomes. They may have been in these houses for 30, 40 years, you know, been homeowners paying taxes, but now they're on a fixed income and truly just do not have the funds to maintain the house in the way that it needs to be. And also we're concerned about, you know, them being safe, especially with this pandemic. We learned how it's so important to have a healthy home. So there are definitely a need for it, and I wish it was more resources available. But there are some through Oakland County that Pontiac residents can take advantage of.
So Yvette and Mary Lou, those that have been utilizing Section 8 vouchers to rent, is there a pathway for home ownership?
Absolutely, there is. I actually am the deputy director for the Housing Commission, but my heart, my baby, is a program that I started when I first started at the Housing Commission. It's called Family Self-Sufficiency. And through the Family Self-Sufficiency program, you work through the program to either prepare with your budgeting, prepare with the financial literacy, as Autumn had stated, and a lot of the individuals on the program are either working part-time or not working at all, and I work with them and through the different resources in the city to provide them with employment opportunities. As they begin to get a job, of course, their rent's going to increase. We don't penalize them for that. What we do is we set up what's called an escrow account. And say, for instance, when I start on the program, I'm only paying $200 of my rent. Well, now because I'm working and I'm making a little bit more money, now I'm making a $400 rental payment. We'll take that $200 difference and it goes into a savings account. And that money builds up over the years, and then by the time that they're finished with the program, they are ready with that down payment. They're ready to put that money on a home, and some of the individuals that have graduated off the program have even had the down payment money in addition to having additional money for furniture or whatever it is that they need to go into their house. But the great thing is that through HUD, you can get a mortgage. You can turn your Section 8 regular voucher into a home ownership voucher. And for 15 years, HUD will assist you with paying your mortgage.
That's awesome.
Absolutely.
So we've heard that the supply for renters and homeowners are low. Regina, can you talk to us a little about what you've seen as a result of your expert in terms of the availability of new housing stock in Pontiac?
Well, Thank you, Samino. Great question. So as Yvette mentioned and Autumn mentioned, there is a shortage in housing in the city of Pontiac. There's a shortage of affordable and quality housing in the city of Pontiac. I can tell you that according to the Economic Development, Housing and Planning Department subcommittee in the city of Pontiac, there is some new builds that's on the horizon. And so I do have a list of a few developments that's on the way. We do have a Baldwin, we have Westwood Apartments that they're developing right now. We also have Fieldstone expansion, Stonegate expansion, Winston Commons, and then there's also the American House Senior Apartments that's on the way. That's currently being developed within our community. So, but there is definitely a shortage in rental and housing to purchase as well.
So what are your thoughts about sort of shifting the mindset? As indicated earlier, we have 57% of our residents rent, 43% are actual homeowners. Any thoughts or suggestions on ways to kind of flip that?
Well, as Autumn mentioned, we do have a number of renters that can afford to purchase. However, the financial literacy is the challenge that they're having. They average pay about $800 to $1,200 a month on renting. You can get, if we work in numbers, and Norbert would be able to speak a little more to this, is that you can get a house, average house, $60,000 and spend $650 a month for rent, including insurance. So they can afford it. It's just the the literacy
yeah.
that is the challenge. And if we take the time, for me as a builder and also as a realtor, for my clients that come in that want to rent, we would take it a step further to say, okay, you can rent now, but this is the goal in a year or two to get you ready to purchase.
So what is the landscape like for minority builders in the city of Pontiac?
What is the landscape like for
Are there
minority
opportunities?
builders?
Are you getting an equitable opportunity to participate in building new homes or rehabbing
We're working on
homes?
that. No, we are currently, we've just recently reached out to a developer for one of the sites that I mentioned here to see how we can collaborate and how we can build or work with them to develop that site. We are working with Habitat. I've made some contact with Habitat and possibly some contacts with Lighthouse. And they both do affordable housing. So I know that we're looking for developers to come into the community. They are doing market rate housing. And so that is something that's really a priority of the city of Pontiac at this time, from my understanding.
Awesome. So, Mr. Burrows, as a realtor, what are you seeing? How long does your average home stay on the market in Pontiac?
Okay, so in the city of Pontiac, thank you, Dr. Scott. City of Pontiac, the average time that a house is on the market is 26 days now. Earlier in the year, it was much less than that, 13 days. But right now, the winter time and things kind of slowed up, not to mention the low inventory, but 26 days is the average in Pontiac right now. And the average cost or the average value of the homes now has risen to, the average is $143,000 now. And it hasn't been that high in a while as far as the average. So right now, 143,000 is the value, and we also have 35 homes right now that's on the market. That's it, 35 in the whole entire city of Pontiac.
35 homes in the entire city. So if I identify one of these homes and I want to purchase, I call you and kind of walk us through the steps involved in the home buying process.
Well, if you haven't met with a lender, you reach out to me. I introduce you to my lenders that I know if you don't already have one. And so the step is to get pre-approved first. So once you meet the lender, then you go through the criteria of finding out your debt to income, your credit score, and things like that. And then that way they'll be able to determine what kind of house you can afford. And once they figure out your debt to income, figure out what the taxes and insurance should be, then they give you an idea of the type of home or, the amount of home that you can afford. So the first step is basically meeting with a loan officer and finding out how much you're approved for or how much they can approve you for. As far as purchasing a home, as far as those programs, there's several programs that's out here for first-time home buyers. One of the great ones is MISTA, the state of Michigan. They have a down payment assistance program that'll give you up to $10,000 for your down payment for your costs and fees and things like that. $7,500, they have a program they give you $7,500 towards your closing costs and fees as well. So, but a lot of financial institutions have several programs to assist first-time home buyers. It's just we have to get in front of them and educate them so they can learn about it. And Yvette and Autumn made some good points as far as, financial literacy and things like that, and growing up and, renting for years. So that's kind of the mindset. And that's why I always just try to talk about home ownership and let them know the difference between renting and owning. Because like what was said earlier, you can own a house and pay less than rent, almost half that you would pay every month, but you own in your home.
So let's elaborate on that a bit further. So I find a house, it's $100,000 that their house is listed for. Talk to us of what would be an average down payment for that. You mentioned there's some opportunities for assistance with down payment and a typical mortgage payment.
Well, let's just say the 100,000. Depending on the program, like I said, they have different programs. Have FHA where you need 3.5% down. There's a program that I have that I get a lot of folks into, and that's with Flagstar Bank. They have a program which they are utilizing their CRA, the Community Reinvestment Act, and one of the things they're doing is helping Pontiac residents with home ownership. They have a program called the Community Comeback. That's where they helping Pontiac residents. It's designed strictly for Pontiac, and it's to help them and bridge the appraisal gaps between some of the homes too. Destination homes, no money down, no PMI. You just have to pay your closing costs. Now, a lot of times closing costs can range between $4,000 and $5,000, or more, but you don't have to put any money down. So those are some great programs. And then when it comes to MISTA, wherever it is the money is needed, they'll cover it up to $10,000. So and as far as putting down money, like I say, depending on the program, but normally it's 3.5% is what you'll need to put down if you're not in a zero down program.
And working with the lenders that you work with, what is a minimum credit score that they would consider?
So I have several lenders that I work with, but I have lenders depending on the situation of the client. I have lenders that can approve you with a 580 credit score, but you're gonna need a little bit more money for that program. But the average programs that I normally get Pontiac residents approved for is 600. If you got a 600 credit score, I can get you approved if your debt to income, is there sufficient enough.
And so, last question before I turn to the full panel, what's the impact of your credit scores? A high credit score versus a low, how does that impact your mortgage?
Oh, well, it's like night and day, really. Depending on the program that you're in, if you're in a program where they have a fixed rate, you're good. But the lower the credit score, the higher your interest rate. So usually with MISTA and a lot of programs, if you're at a 640, you got some room. Like you can make some moves with a 640, but anything under 640, it's going to be hard to get you approved or get you a low interest rate, and you're also going to need money to put down if you're not at least at a 640. So most lenders, like I say, they can approve you at a 580, 600, but anything under 640, that's usually meaning higher interest rate.
And so are there, and this is for the panel overall, are there options for some purchasing homes through tax foreclosure? Or what are the, in addition to the traditional home buying options, what are some additional options that are available?
You actually just said it, like the Oakland County land sale. That was the best thing, like for us citizens of Pontiac, of course, until the investors and everything came in and started buying up all the houses. But I think that was our best shot at becoming homeowners here in the city of Pontiac for the citizens. Like I say, we deal with low income, and we don't have a lot of financial literacy as far as home ownerships and things like that, but sometimes we have cash. And that would have been that I know a lot of folks that grabbed houses, during the good times, but now it's like we can't afford them, or they're all being bought, from the outside investors.
Especially if you had enough cash to purchase the home and try to start some of the fixing up of it, but we don't really see a whole lot of that, too much more.
And are there, I'm sorry, go ahead, were you about to say
I
something?
think that, thank you, Dr. Scott. I think that we have a number of renters, what was it, 65%?
The renters, 57%.
57%. I think that one of the things that I would recommend as the individuals go in looking for rental properties, talk with the owners to see if they're interested in selling, doing a lease with an option. We call it lease with an option. You guys may call it rental with an option to purchase. And then get that started out the gate, to let them know, and then set a price as it relates to the purchase of the house. I think those are some terms that as we look forward to turning our city around to have more owners, homeowners, that, that would be a question that I would say we probably need to start having our renters ask as they execute their contracts.
I would like to add to that too. How can I put this? Well, I think that I get a lot of calls from a lot of folks. A lot of people call me looking for housing. I have folks calling me that's on Section 8, living in a hotel. Several people. I have a young lady right now living in her car, her and her daughter, but she have a voucher for Section 8. So I think one of the things that can help our citizens, the ones that's on Section 8, as you see, you limiting yourself to Section 8 is not helping you because you're living in a hotel. So now it's time to focus on maybe getting off Section 8 or maybe taking advantage of the FSS program. If you insist on staying on Section 8, I think you should be taking advantage of the FSS because they're going to help you become a homeowner. That way you don't have to have a voucher and still living in your car or still living at the hotel. You'll be a homeowner now. You took advantage of your Section 8. And I think if we can get folks to kind of change that mindset on that, like just staying stuck, with the Section 8, like, okay, I'm going to use this Section 8 to better myself, better my situation, and take advantage. The FSS is a great program, and it helps you save money. So you saving money, they're helping you with your credit, helping you how to fix your credit. I think that's a great program for folks that's currently, using Section 8. That's on Section 8 right now.
Yep, go ahead.
And if I could expound on what Norbert was saying, one of the things that the Pontiac Housing Commission has done, we are refocusing and restructuring our agency so that we've put ourselves in a better position to address the bigger problem of the availability of housing. And one way that we're doing that is, again, we're going to an all Section 8 agency. And what that's going to allow us to do is to provide our tenants, they'll have the opportunity to stay in some of our developments, but they'll also have the opportunity to take that voucher and go other places. And with restructuring and repositioning the agency, it'll help us address that availability of housing by even becoming and sitting in the developer seat. And that's one of the things that we want to do. We want to make a larger impact on the city of Pontiac by really solving this problem.
So going back to the program that you have for renting to home ownership, what percentage of folks who have vouchers would you say take advantage of that?
Well, the problem with that is that HUD only gives you a certain amount of slots. As you graduate people off the program, your slots can stay the same. What I've had I've been doing this since about 2004. In that time, I've had about 17 homeowners, individuals who, and the way that I like to do it, talking about what Norbert was saying, the way that I like to do it, I'd like to prepare people to pay a smaller mortgage than what they were paying in rent, so that they are prepared. They're used to paying that money anyway. And so they're prepared to now pay this mortgage. And whatever the extra money that they have, they can use that for utilities, because some of our landlords on the Section 8 program, they take care of utilities and everything. So we have some tenants who are not used to paying utilities. And so if you speak to the whole person, educating not just about the finance, but about taking care of a house, about the do's and don'ts when you have a house, turning the lights off, making sure the water is off, and just different practical things like that. If you speak to the whole person, then we're really preparing them for home ownership.
You highlighted the lease to purchase option. It's my understanding that you can also incorporate in that contract that a certain percentage of your lease payment go toward the purchase of that, or the down payment of that home. Is that how that works typically?
That is correct. Yes, that is correct. You can do a lease with an option. Once you agree on a price, you can, it all depends on how you negotiate it. So if you negotiate with the seller that, your rent is X amount of dollars, and out of that X amount of dollars, 10% goes into an escrow account, and then at the time of your bloom, or you're ready to transition into purchasing, then you'll have, as Ms. Transu was saying, you'll have some money for your down payment and to, purchase your property.
Okay. So we have a few questions that have come in through Facebook. And so let's just dive into the questions. Can you tell us the advantages of being a homeowner in Pontiac versus being a renter? I think we talked a little about it, but anything else you'd like to add?
Being a homeowner, period, whether it's in Pontiac or outside of Pontiac, that's financial freedom there. There's so much you can do with being a homeowner. Like I say, financial freedom. You have equity that you can build in your home. You can take a loan out on your house. It's a lot. You can have equity where you can pay for your kids' college. Like, it's a lot as far as like being a homeowner than renting, and it's yours. So if you're renting, you're just making someone else rich, basically. You paying them, you're not getting anything out of it. But if you are owning a home, you paying your home down, you build an equity. Like I said, you can borrow from your home if you need anything. Take equity line of credits out, home equity loans, things like that. That can help you. If your furnace go out, you have your house, your equity that you can buy a new furnace. But renting, you just throwing money away. You're just giving it to someone else. And most of the times, I hate to say it, but the landlord's not the best in Pontiac. I mean, honestly. So you paying a lot of money a month, but you're not happy with where you're living. You can be in control of that with home ownership.
Anyone else want to lean in?
I actually would like to speak to the comment that you just made, Norbert, about the landlords not being the best. One of the other things that the Pontiac Housing Commission is working on, we are working on changing that narrative. We are working on opening up the line of communication with our local landlords. One thing that we found is that many landlords don't want to accept Section 8, and that compounds the problem that we're already having with the availability of housing. And so one of the things that we're doing is we are gathering the local landlords so that we can have that conversation, so that we can tell them about the benefits of allowing individuals to have a Section 8 voucher and having a Section 8 voucher holder in their home. So we are preparing to do that as we speak, so that we can, like I said, change that narrative and change the way that landlords deal with our tenants in Pontiac.
Autumn?
Yes, I would just like to add, even though I'm an affordable housing developer, that's rental and home ownership. From my perspective, not everyone is going to be a homeowner. There is a role in place for rental, and so I think it's important for us to recognize that. So the flip side of that question is, when you're a homeowner, you're going to be the one who's responsible, like Norbert was saying, for the maintenance. When that furnace goes out, you can't call anyone. You're calling yourself, Autumn. If you don't have those funds to do that, you will be freezing in your house. You're going to be the one who has to save up for the roof that may need to be replaced in 20 years. So it's very important for us, like Yvette was saying, to be working in collaboration with the landlord so that people can have access to quality rental. And then for those who are ready for the next step, who wants to have equity, who wants to be able to have the ability to turn that equity into a small business, fund their children's college, those type of things, have that available as well. And I would just say, especially for our homeowners are extremely good renters. They've been renters all their lives. Many of them are paying $1,200 a month. When they get our brand new house, their mortgage payment basically decreases to like $600. And you're owning this whole house. So definitely I'm such a proponent for home ownership, but I also think it's equally important that people have access to quality, safe, and affordable rental.
Very good question. And I understand a lot of our millennials in particular prefer to rent instead of purchasing.
I just wanted to add that too. That was
Yeah.
one of the things too, because with this climate that we're living in, people don't just stay somewhere for 20 years anymore. So people do want that option to rent, but live in a good rental situation so they can make those moves when it comes to employment, relationships, or wherever they want to go.
Because they don't want the responsibility of a home.
Yes. Not everybody does, no.
So next question, what are some recognized steps that someone who is looking to be a homeowner should take a year away from purchasing a home?
I would just say I'm plugging Venture and OSA, Community Housing Network, Lighthouse, Habitat. I would say, really, if you just even have a notion that you want to become a homeowner, go to these nonprofit organizations. They're totally free. You don't have to pay anyone. They're going to be an advocate on your side. So unlike a lender or a realtor who, they have their own agenda, the nonprofit organizations really are trying to make sure that you're in an affordable situation, your mortgage is right, and all of that. So I would say go to one of these nonprofit. We have lots of good nonprofit organizations here in the city of Pontiac. Start there. And like a year out, 18 months, don't wait until your lease is up next month. You got to start thinking about it a little bit in advance.
Anyone want to add to that?
Yes, I actually sit on the board for Habitat for Humanity, and that, as Autumn stated, that's one of the main places that you would want to go to. If you're thinking about that, get in touch with someone at Habitat for Humanity. And then I also sit on the board for Catholic Community Response Team. They're the individuals that will assist with any of the down payment that you may need for rental. If you need first month, last month, they will help with that, and it's specific to Pontiac. So.
Okay. Any other thoughts before we go to the next question? So, and this one is for the Housing Commission. What are some of the challenges that the Housing Commission has seen in Pontiac?
One of the main challenges is, as we've all sat on this panel and stated, the availability of housing. Address some of that.
The availability of housing, there's not much out there. And if there's any houses available, they're snatched up right away. Tenants are constantly calling me, Ms. Rosado, has anyone called you on a house? And yes, they do. However, it's gone that quickly. They want to rent to our Section 8 participants, but the houses go so quickly. Because MISHDA also is Pontiac is also part of MISHDA. So when they issue out vouchers, their people are looking in Pontiac as well. So it's like a competition, just constantly looking for housing.
So if I have a Section 8 voucher, do I have to stay in Pontiac? Are there other options?
No, actually, well, with the Pontiac Housing Commission, our jurisdiction are little cities outside of Pontiac, like Auburn Hills, Rochester, Oxford, Lake Orion, White Lake, Waterford.
The greater part of Oakland County.
Yeah, that part. But some people want to go to Southfield, Ferndale. That's not our jurisdiction. However, MISHDA handles Oakland County.
And then I would imagine all those cities, they similarly to Pontiac, have a housing shortage as well. So this is not just citywide, it's nationwide.
Correct.
As I stated earlier, it absolutely is.
And we talked about this a little bit, but the next question that we have from Facebook is there any financial literacy initiatives in place to help provide someone who is not familiar with the home purchasing process?
Definitely it is, like I was saying, like the nonprofit organizations, but also there are things online too, like the Federal Trade Commission has like a whole program. If you look them up, and it's like a workbook, it's really long, and it goes through all the different steps from beginning to end. So there are online resources that are reputable, but also there are in-person organizations right here in the city that you can go to.
So, Regina, on the other side of that, there are folks here in Pontiac that would like a newly constructed home. What is that process like?
Pretty much the same process as Laura was talking about. If you're looking to purchase, you've got to get pre-approved financing, you've got to find a contractor, we got to find a lot, and then that's the process. So you find a lot, purchase your lot, you get pre-approved for, see how much home that you can afford, and then you interview a contractor, and of course the permits and all that has to go. You got to get your drawings. So all that is submitted to the city for approval, and then groundbreaking time.
There you go. So if I purchase a new build, do I walk into that with equity in it? Is that an advantage?
It depends on what the market rate is. It depends on what the market is. So most of the times when you walk into a new build, well, I'm not going to say most of the times. It depends on what the market is. So last year the market was, this year our market is much better in Pontiac than what it was last year, 2 years ago, with all of the new development that's coming. The development that's coming on in Fieldstone, their pricing is from $175,000 to $200,000. So people are buying houses.
For new construction?
New construction.
That's not bad, quite frankly.
No.
So, closing thoughts, and we'll start to my right, since we have Mr. Burrows, the male on my left, and Mary Lou, any closing thoughts for us today?
Just that don't give up, that continue looking. There are houses out there, apartments, but don't give up, just continue looking. And ask for help, anyone.
Yeah.
My final thought is we are embarking on a new trend in the city of Pontiac. We have a new administration. We have some new initiatives coming down the pike. This is new. And one of the things that I would say that will help create a better situation for the citizens in the city of Pontiac is for us, those of us who are on these panels, those of us who are on these boards, who reside in Pontiac or who grew up and were born and raised in Pontiac. We need to begin to collaborate and combine our resources so that we have more of an impact to give to our citizens in Pontiac. I think if we work together, the better we work together and come together and collaborate. I think some of these things that we're saying are impediments and some of these things that we're saying are challenges and barriers will begin to go away as we work closer together.
Thank you. Autumn?
From my perspective, I am a co-founder of Pontiac Policy Council, and I'm with Oakland Forward. And one of our sayings is stay ready so you don't have to get ready. So I would just implore anyone, I don't care if you're a renter now, and maybe home ownership is not even the faintest of an idea for you, but to start looking at your own personal credit, your financial standing, your budgeting, savings. Do that now. Because even if you're a renter, having good credit is going to make sure that perhaps you're getting a better rental situation. So I would just say stay ready, get ready now. Don't wait until the opportunity is right in front of you.
All right, Regina.
Yes, and I would piggyback on what Autumn is saying, that if you're a renter, go in renting with a goal set to say, okay, I'm going to rent for 3 years, 4 years, and I'm going to set myself up to be ready to purchase. I mean, be intentional, set goals as far as home ownership, if that's the route you choose to go.
Mr. Burrows.
I would have to agree with that as well. Whether you're renting or looking to purchase, you have to get yourself together. You have to start working on your finances, start working on your credit, because believe it or not, whether you're renting, even the landlords are now asking for credit scores of 600, 650. So if you need a 650 to rent, you might as well buy a home. So I would say don't give up as well, and keep focus on yourself. Keep trying to build your credit and things like that so you don't have to rent. And I also want to let you know that, like we spoke before, inventory is low. So the housing market, the houses, the values are going up, and they're going to keep going up. And right now, interest rates are now going up. So you have the housing going up, and you have the interest rates going up. So now you have to get in now before the rates go up even higher and the prices of the homes go up even higher. So I would say anyone in the market or even thinking about purchasing a home, I believe now would be a good time before the rates get tremendously high and the prices of the homes go up tremendously as well.
Okay. Well, thank you so much. This has been a really enlightening conversation. I appreciate you all bringing your expertise to this discussion for Pontiac residents. And thank you for joining us for a wonderful conversation around housing stability. And we look forward to an opportunity to speak to you again at our next town hall. And I'll turn to Anisha, who will talk to you a little about it.
Thank you, Dr. Scott, and thank you for sharing with us today. We hope this panelist was able to provide you with some answers to your questions and inform you of resources that can help. This town hall will be replayed and posted on our social media sites, so feel free to share it. And if there's any additional questions that you have, please email us at info@pontiaccollectiveimpact.org. Now, City of Pontiac, it's time to start your spring cleaning. Clean out your garages, your basement, your yards. Join us and the City of Pontiac for a citywide cleanup initiative the week of April 18th through the 23rd. On Friday, April 22nd, which is Earth Day, and Saturday, April 23rd, we will support our city councilmen and women by cleaning up parks in their district. Please visit our website for more information or to sign up to volunteer. Thank you and have a good evening.